Welcome to this episode of the 502 Report. I'm Nikki Lechniak. A coalition of partners is coming together to start a new program they hope will address the rising rates of violent crime in our community. Last year, Louisville, like much of the country, saw a spike in homicides. There were 82.
One is too many. The problem is obviously each and every one of these homicides leaves behind a trail of tears to family, friends, nieces, nephews, sons, daughters. It touches the whole community.
As the city's only Level 1 trauma center, U of L Hospital sees most of the gunshot and knife wounds in Louisville. Over the last 2 years, they've treated more than 600 shooting victims, like Kyron Ligon, who was shot in the stomach.
I'd rather not talk about it in my story. I'd rather talk about pushing for peace.
He now works for Dr. Eddie Woods of Neighborhood House, which is one of the partners in a new initiative called Pivot to Peace.
Pivot to Peace is a hospital-based intervention program for individuals 18 to 34 who have been either shot or stabbed when they enter the hospital.
Ligon still uses crutches to get around.
It's definitely a need. I would say that. Because all the things that's going on, there's a lot of young people being killed for no reason.
The hospital-based team will reach out to injured patients, their family, and friends, and help pivot them away from violence and retaliation toward a more positive direction.
Maybe not themselves, but their family, their friends, they want to retaliate on their behalf. And so if we can intervene with that individual and their family and their network, at that point, retaliation is less likely, which means we have the potential to reduce a homicide.
Really, a lot of times have to unravel some old thinking in order to get a person to a place where they make peace a first choice. And that's the key. They have the power to make the decisions on how they respond to traumatic incidents as well as grief. So we try to give them some options.
He called us, Dr. Eddie said he was ready to turn himself in.
Pivot to Peace is modeled after a similar program in Oakland, California, and involves many partners.
This collaboration really is vital to the importance of this program.
Louisville's Department of Safe and Healthy Neighborhoods, which works to reduce homicides, suicides, and overdoses, is managing the 3 grants that fund this program.
A lot of our goals and activities are long-term goals. It's not a quick fix and it cannot be solved tomorrow. This is one of those programs that can do something in that moment. And that's what Pivot to Peace is really saying and it's doing. We can do something today to get you out of whatever brought you into this hospital. Not just for you, but your family and the community that you're also affiliated with.
Violence in our community affects us all, and the diversity of groups and agencies involved reflects the seriousness of the issue.
This is huge, mostly because you want to have the right collection of partners, but you don't ever imagine in your wildest dreams that it's going to be this level of partnership. So now we figure out a way to make this coalition turn into something that's real for the people who are on the victim side of it, and maybe even just friends of folks who are victims.
My job certainly as mayor, and our collective job as citizens, is to make sure all of our citizens lead long, productive, healthy lives. And when a life is cut short by a bullet or a knife or whatever it is, we're letting each other down.
You're not going to help them. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to play off that.
If everybody gets mad, we got a chance to really change the game, and I think it can start right here in Louisville.
Coordinators of the Pivot to Peace program hope it'll start in a few weeks. The Muhammad Ali Center is stepping up to help low-income kids conquer the achievement gap with a unique after-school mentoring program. Global Game Changers is a new after-school program at the Muhammad Ali Center for at-risk students in kindergarten through 5th grades. It's expected to help empower kids over the course of 16 weeks by developing their skills, interests, and confidence.
This program, we believe, has the potential to change their lives. Whereas many of these children have never been to a museum, they will now be spending every afternoon at one of our country's most culturally enriching environments. Whereas many of these children have seen firsthand some of the less positive things happening in our community, they will now be spending every afternoon hearing and reading about young people who are making good things happen in our communities.
As part of the program, compassion benches like this one at the Ali Center are being donated and located throughout the community.
It is a rally. And they do hop. Do you hop?
Being prepared for kindergarten is an important building block for children's futures. But across the Commonwealth, less than half of all kids are kindergarten ready.
These youngsters are behind in school before they even start. That's just not acceptable, and we have to change that.
It's a little J.
A little J. And that little J needs its what on top?
A dot.
A dot.
Thanks to a $500,000 grant from the CE&S Foundation, JCPS will be able to expand its successful 4-week kindergarten readiness camp to 1,200 students this summer.
The benefits aren't just specific to the child or even the child's school. The benefit is to the entire district and the entire community.
71% of the students who attended last year's camp were kindergarten ready, compared to 47.9% of Kentucky's incoming kindergarteners. Kids aren't the only ones growing at JCPS.
So when it rains, the water will stay kind of in there, right there on the root system where it needs to be.
800 new trees, like this one at Medora Elementary in southwest Louisville, are being planted to help reverse Louisville's urban heat island effect.
Trees are truly a capital investment in our community and in our future. So we need to protect the trees that we have, and we need to plant new trees for the health and the well-being of this community.
Trees Louisville is donating a variety of trees, mulch, and labor valued at $250,000 to 11 of JCPS's canopy-deficient campuses over the next several months.
The excitement that they see when those skid loaders start running, when the backhoes are working, the awe in their faces when they're looking at the depths of those tree planting holes, and the excitement that they show when they see the height of the trees that we're putting in, because we're putting in some big ones.
You have the power to help your friends, neighbors, and family stay alive just by learning one simple procedure. Here's more.
Cardiac arrest is a problem with the heart where the heart's natural rhythm stops. They don't have a pulse, they don't have a blood pressure, and that person is dead. And if something doesn't happen in the next few seconds to minutes, they're not going to survive. Put your hands in the center of the chest and push down 2 inches at a rate of 2 times a second. If somebody gets CPR, it doubles or triples their chance of survival of the cardiac arrest, so it's critical that people do that.
President of the Start the Heart Foundation, Dr. Dillon spends his free time spreading the knowledge of hands-only CPR.
Right through the palm, or the heel of your palm.
Bringing this knowledge to the teachers and students of JCPS and beyond.
Start the Heart Foundation is an organization that my wife and I started last year. This kind of hands-only CPR education is extremely easy to learn. We can teach a class in about 30 minutes. This young lady here took our class and saved a lady at a dry cleaning. I think that everyone ought to know hands-only CPR. I consider it to be a basic life skill. When you're doing CPR, you're compressing down on the chest and you're compressing and squeezing the heart. You are acting as that person's heart. When you push down, it ejects blood out of the heart. When you let up, the heart fills up. In our community, only 1 out of 4 people get bystander CPR. And there are communities in the country where up to 3 out of 4 people will get bystander CPR. One of our goals by teaching this very easy method of hands-only CPR is to improve the number of, or increase the number of people that do bystander CPR.
This keeps the blood flowing, and it has the opportunity to keep it as clot-free as possible.
The Louisville Metro Government Health and Safety Division is doing their part to reach the goal Dr. Dillon would love to see for Louisville by training Metro government employees in hands-only CPR.
The scope or the goal of the Louisville Metro Health and Safety Division is to make every employee that comes to work to go home better than they came into work. We were doing a training on bloodborne pathogens. What we did is we just added the 5-minute training that dealt with hands-only CPR. So all those 100 and some employees at the end of the day came out and actually practiced hands-only CPR till they had the double lights to show that they had that muscle memory, that, hey, this is something I can do if my family member or my coworker goes down.
In a situation where every second matters, giving someone CPR in a crisis could be the difference between life and death.
19, 20, 21, 20. So one of the benefits about Metro employees is we have people in a lot of places throughout the city, in recreation centers, we have them in different buildings throughout the city. So the more people that we could train and be confident within our own buildings, the more it may help a citizen out in the field who would collapse. It empowers people to understand that that could be me someday helping to help save a coworker. A study was done in Denmark, and 75% of people that had someone that at least gave hands-only CPR before paramedics got there, 75% of those people survived.
Cardiac arrest is a leading killer in our community. There are over 750 cardiac arrests every year, and sadly in Louisville only 1 out of 10 people survive the event.
There we go, good job, keep going.
This initiative through the Metro Health and Safety Division has been met with praise from civic leaders.
I think it's a very positive program for Metro employees to know hands-only CPR. As many people in the public, whether it's a government center or just a lay person that knows CPR, that's putting that many more people out in the community that can help save a life.
If you're interested in learning CPR, go to starttheheartfoundation.org or call the American Heart Association at 1-877-AHA-4-CPR.
And many of the best paying jobs that we have in Louisville are in the healthcare sector, and that's why I'm really excited today to be here to officially open the Kentucky Health Career Center.
If you're interested in a job in healthcare, and there were more than 3,500 of those in Louisville at the end of last year, you might consider getting involved in the One-Stop Kentucky Health Career Center.
We need to make sure that we're giving our citizens the right education, the right training, the right career guidance and advice as well, so that we can fill these jobs that are growing in our city, thankfully, as well.
This is the second career center created by Kentuckiana Works and is a joint effort with the Health Careers Collaborative of Greater Louisville. For more information about the center, go to kentuckianaworks.org. James Blanton's enthusiasm for our city's libraries and programming is contagious. Take a closer look at Louisville's new library director.
I'm from Lexington originally. I was born and raised there. I've traveled all over. I lived in Orlando, Florida for a little while. I lived in Chesapeake, Virginia for 12 years before coming back to Kentucky. I was in Owensboro for 3 years, and now I'm back in Louisville, which is sort of like a second home to me. When I was growing up, we used to come up to Louisville all the time. I wasn't always thinking of libraries as a career choice. When I was in school, I was actually heading towards law school. And by the time I graduated, I realized, I'm not sure that's really for me. So I took a little time off, and I actually ended up working at SeaWorld. Libraries just jumped out at me. I always loved libraries as a kid, but I hadn't really thought about it as a career until I started researching it. And I ended up coming back to Lexington and working in the public library there while I kind of figured out whether it was for me or not. And then I ended up going to grad school at UK for library science, and I just loved it, and I've never looked back since. Actually, my experience at SeaWorld has strangely informed the rest of my career because they really are right on top of things from the moment a guest walks into the park to creating different experiences for them as they move throughout. And it really translates well, I think, into libraries or any customer service experience, really. We're creating experiences at the library. We have the book component, we have the children's programming component, the adult programming. So you're creating these different pockets of experience for users as they come through and just generally offering a great experience as far as interacting with them and offering great customer service, being friendly, engaging, warm, welcoming, those sorts of things. People always ask me what my favorite book is, and I'm a real sci-fi nut. Dune is a book that I love, Frank Herbert. Also, I love Ray Bradbury, and Something Wicked This Way Comes is one of my favorite books. Those are kind of timeless classics. I love this book called Vampires by an author named John Stakely. It's a really amazing book about these mercenaries who are paid to hunt vampires down. It's a great kind of junky book, but I love it. Early on, got involved in library programming, and it really taught me everything that a library can be. Started out actually as a situation where I was working with a local anime club, and we ended up putting it on this sci-fi festival, which exploded and is still going strong actually after, I think, like 13 years. But it showed me how you can bring the community together and have like interactive programming, of different artists and authors and different folks come in and interact with the community and have the community interact with each other as they're experiencing the program, kind of like a shared learning experience. And it was really wonderful and sort of gave me the programming bug. And ever since, I've been looking at ways to sort of supercharge what we're able to do for the community and offering programs, bringing people with knowledge together with people, who want to learn or know more about some kind of area. I mean, I know there's some community awareness around the How To Festival, for example, this huge event where we bring together just a host of people who have different skills to share with folks. It's really amazing. Thousands of people come, and it's one of those interactive type of programs I mentioned. That's a road that, as we move along, that I really want to emphasize. We have a program for folks who want to be authors. If you want to come in and learn from someone who's done it, how to write and then publish your work, there's going to be someone who does that. We're going to be launching a program to serve independent authors. If you've written something, you can come in, book a time to appear at the library and talk about your work. It's a program I launched in Owensboro, which partners with libraries across the state. So you can essentially book a book tour around. It's called ePublish or Bust. But we're going to be offering services for these independent creators, and I would like to see that channel into other areas of art, like music and film, where we, again, kind of show people how to do something, help them create it, and then help them get it out there. We're a great community connector, and I think people don't always realize that. And people from all walks of life come through our doors, and if we can intentionally create programs to increase that level of interaction, I think we can be a real vital resource for the community in that way.
To learn more about the programs offered through our city's library system, check out the website lfpl.org.
I love the streetscape. It looks like a neighborhood.
That's the goal of the new $100 million Shepherd Square community, to integrate a variety of housing types and people on the site of what was the Shepherd Square public housing community, originally built in 1942.
We're completing the rental phase, which includes 287 rental units, started in March of 2012, and we're a bit ahead of schedule. We also have 23 home ownership units to be coming out of the ground next year.
Louisville Metro Housing Authority recently gave a tour and update of the 4-year-long construction project.
There'll be 32 units in here, 1 and 2 bedrooms for seniors and veterans.
The site has quite a history, like the old Presbyterian Community Center, which will house seniors and disabled veterans when it's completed later this year.
Ali used to train here occasionally, or box, and we pulled a ring post and ring bell out of here.
The historic Smoketown neighborhood is also benefiting from eco-friendly construction of the development.
Think about some of the statements that have been made with this construction about environmental sustainability. There's some of the leading construction in our city about that. Also, the smoke-free aspect of that speaks to the personal health of our citizens, and that was really demanded by the residents here of Shepherd Square.
There's been a good amount of reinvestment in the area, more than $45 million, with new projects and businesses taking root. Before construction is complete on Louisville's third Hope 6 project, plans are already in the works to renovate another public housing community.
Our next task will be the Russell neighborhood, and that task will go on for quite some time. We've got a few more years of planning, but we intend to provide this type of development in this community in the coming years.
Mayor Fisher strongly believes that we all win when a child succeeds in school, at home, and in life. He believes we all can play a part in making that happen through the power of positive mentoring.
Everybody can use a mentor, but there's some young people that need them more than others, especially those that don't have as many active positive influences in their life as possible.
That's why in July 2014, he created the Metro Mentors policy, giving Metro employees up to 2 hours a week to mentor and work with youth of our community.
We should be a model for all the other employers in the community. So then when I ask them to step up and they say, well, what are you guys doing? I'll say, here's our Metro Mentors program. Why don't you adopt something like this at your company?
In partnership with outside agencies like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and internal departments like Metro Parks and Recreation, the idea is to help youth develop the skills, confidence, and personal vision to make the right choices in their lives.
Where's all that food go? To your feet? Yeah.
I think so. In January of 2015, the mayor issued his Be the One challenge to all Louisville citizens encouraging them to be the one to help a young person, whether reading to a toddler or helping a young adult fill out a job application. In the next episode of 502, you will get to meet one of the great mentors in this program and learn how their time has changed the life of a young person in our city.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of the 502 Report. Until next time, take care.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro government.